All right, Bronco Nation, welcome back to another episode of Blue Turf Talk. My name is Chris Van Sickle. I am very excited today to be joined by a couple awesome guys. First, I'll introduce Nick. Nick, how you doing today, buddy?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, and we are super excited to be joined by our first alumni on the podcast. Now, I've interviewed Billy, and it was awesome, and if you haven't watched it, I hope you go check it out. But he just decided to come on because he's an awesome guy. Billy Bowens, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back. Let's do it.
All right. I'm excited. You're excited. We got some stuff to talk about. Billy, for those that haven't watched our interview, just real quick, give us a synopsis of where your life is right now.
Yeah, so I'm out here in Boise. Was doing some training, just finished up most recent pro day, which was awesome to be out there with all those eyes and all the different media outlets and teams, especially for Ash and Ahmed and all those guys who were just graduating. They did a great job. Draft just finished up and signings got finished, so you got to see where guys were going to go and where they're going to be, and hopefully they stick. So I'm excited about all that.
Were you excited for Ashton and Ahmad for that matter?
Oh, completely. I mean, and all those guys who get signed too, they have all the ability to play, so it's just a matter of opportunity. So seeing these guys go different places, Cam Camper and my boy Alex Tubner getting a chance and Shayla Depot. I mean, all those guys just being able to get those invites, it's huge. You just need a foot in the door.
And I think that Ashton Genty is the perfect example of betting on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
He stuck around. He didn't take the quick cash and go to Texas or wherever where he had to learn a new system. He bet on himself, and now I think he's what did I hear about 31 mil?
Yeah, at least.
I think that worked out all right for him.
For sure.
I just hope that recruits hear this and see that it's the grass isn't always greener. So bet on yourself. Stick around, and Boise State can develop NFL talent. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Without a doubt. Oh, yeah.
So with Billy here and former wide receiver or current wide receiver, hopefully we're crossing our fingers for you, Billy. We want you to get that shot. Your career is not done yet, bud. We want to talk wide receiver. Wide receiver is kind of causing Bronco Nation a little stress right now, I think, and maybe for good reason, maybe for not. But that's why we want you to talk. We want to talk to you because you have some insight that we don't have.
Oh yeah. Well, what I can say is, you guys can take a deep breath. What we have is always going to be enough. First and foremost, I mean, like we were talking about, it's a developmental program from head to toe. They're going to bring in guys who are the right guys, who are going to know the scheme, the system. And at the end of the day, all you have to do is your job, right? Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. As a wide receiver, you just have to be there for your quarterback when to get that timing right, be at the right place, and catch the ball. As long as we do that, we'll progress. We'll make progress on offense, and we will score. We will have points. Now, with that being said, we have studs in that room. Don't get it wrong. We have complete freak athletes in there, guys that are doing things that a lot of the public eye doesn't get to see, that I've seen behind the scenes that are just spectacular. There's a bunch of athletes, and they're super competitive bunch, right? They're an older bunch. They've all have had time here, and they've been in this program. So they know what's expected. They know what they need to do, and they know what we need in order to be successful.
And I was looking at the roster today, and I do find it kind of ironic that this position that is causing so much stress has two of the most veteran players in it, in Caples and Austin Bolt. I mean, We're talking these guys that have been around a minute. When you're going into that sixth year, where do you think Austin Bolt and Latrell Caples are working right now on getting better?
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of where you got to really polish your game, right? You know your strengths, but you know where you can develop and grow. And that's another thing. It's knowing yourself, knowing your body, understanding where there is room for improvement. I mean, and being with this staff, they've been with this staff, and let alone that Coach Miller, who's an awesome coach, who also is going to get them ready and prepped, that you know what you need and what is needed from you. right? So those guys are at that point in that age to where they're mature enough to know, hey, I need to work on this offseason. I need to work on this. I need to get this part of my game stronger. I need to spend more time here. And that ultimately is going to help our team on a tremendous level.
And you were there for the spring game, and like we talked about in our interview, the spring game it's fun. It gets everyone excited there in the stadium, but really you're not going to learn all that much. Real quick, and I'm going to play just a quick little clip of some of my highlights from the game. Talk about what you kind of learned, maybe.
Right. So, I mean, one thing I can say is that we're a fast and physical group. That's what I can say. And that's always been the main thing of this program, right? Be physical. Be more physical than your opponent. The most physical team wins. That's always our motto, right? But our speed, where we might have lost some size in here or there, we have gained speed, right? I've seen some guys out there, maybe some transfers, some new guys, some younger guys who are bringing it on a level to where they need to be, right? And that's ultimately how the game is shaping. Speed now, right? We're doing more of this, more of that, and getting guys in places faster to where the game is developing and maturing and progressing into more of a faster paced game. So seeing that, you love to see it. I mean, I have no concerns. I was so impressed. And like I said, that was very bland stuff. We're not trying to give UCF or USF the whole playbook. We're not trying to give Notre Dame the whole playbook. We didn't have a lot of our vets starters even playing in the game, right? So, I mean, you're giving them just enough to where we can get eval on these players, but go out there and know that we still have a lot more in the tank that we didn't get to expose.
And the last play there on that film was one that stood out to me, and it's by a young man that I'm really excited to watch develop. Is Cam Bates. He's known for his speed. What has he shown you throughout his early career? He's only a sophomore.
Oh yeah. I'm super excited to see where he can go, and I mean, as a young guy, seeing those things and those qualities are really promising, because it's like you only can go up from there. He's only going to learn more. He's only going to develop more. He's only going to mature more. The game's going to slow down, and that means he's going to speed up, right? So, I mean, I went and got it. I was able to get a workout in with Cam Bates, and go out there and see him moving in the flesh, talk to him person to person. He's hungry. I mean, I behind the scenes, that guy, he's hungry. He looked really good. He's pushing the pace. He's saying like, hey, I want it. I need it, and I was like, go get it type of talk, and it's good. I told him, man, I watched you this year and you got a lot of good things, but don't be content. That's always the thing. Keep going, find places to grow, because for instance, like you guys are seeing, there's glimpses, and I know this could be a really big year for him, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
And Nick, I'll toss it over to you real quick. I know you've got some questions for Billy, and then I've got a couple more once you're done.
Yeah. Speaking of speedy type receivers, it seems like we have a plethora of them on, in the group. We have, Chase Penny, like you said, Bates, Caples, all that. They're a little bit smaller slot kind of receiver types. So we're kind of lean on, the receivers that have the length or the size. So Are you at all concerned about the depth with the X position?
And I can see where that can become a concern for some people, but knowing what I know, right, we can scheme to what we have. That's all football is, right? You make plays and put your people in the positions to be the most successful. So knowing that we might not have those bigger, longer framer guys as your typical X receiver, we're going to have guys maybe more bunch sets, more condensed, more bunches, more motions and stuff like that, to where it's like we're going to play to our strengths, right? We're going to have these different pocket movements and different things to where these guys don't have to be making those one-on-one 50-50 jump fade balls. We're going to play to our strengths with these guys, because where they're lacking in that height might be their speed, their technique, their mobility in between the hashes to where they can work the field, right? And get those mismatches on linebackers, nickels, safeties, who aren't really your best cover guys. So with that being said, I love the fact that we have versatility in terms of skill and what we are going to match up, find those matchups and be able to expose the defense in order to make us more successful, right? We can add some 12 personnel, bring on a tight end, bring on heavier sets. Our tight ends are really mobile. Those guys are going to be considered pass catchers and route runners as well for this offense coming up. So, I mean, just things like that, you're going to be able to see and witness that and see how our coaches put them in positions to where they can be successful and help us as an offense.
So is this going to be a good test for Coach Potter to start writing up those X's and O's for our group?
Absolutely. I mean, a guy that really impressed me was AJ Mays. I mean, he switched over from quarterback and he was out there making around, throwing his body around. He's a bigger frame guy, right? Quarterback size body, but now switched to receiver. I can guarantee you they're going to find ways to get him going, right? And like I mentioned, those tight ends we have, bigger frame guys, you know, they can find them, try and find some ways to ISO them up, get them George Kittle and Rob Gronkowski looks and stuff, you know, just stuff like that, to where I know that this staff has been with this team long enough to know where guys can be successful, and that's what I'm excited to see.
And Billy, you mentioned something, and it's kind of random, but it's not every day you get to talk to a NFL level wide receiver. So I'm gonna pick your brain. Teach us something. You mentioned the bunch formation. That's a formation I think we're going to see a whole lot more.
Yeah.
From a wide receiver standpoint, what advantage does a bunch formation give a team?
Absolutely. I mean, it makes it harder, right? When we're all three here, or both here, and we have doubles that are stacked or bunches and formations and sides, the communication on the defense gets even harder, right? They already have a whole bunch they have to think about: movements, shifts, routes, zone coverages, man coverages. I mean, when we know what a team is doing and we can scheme up, hey, that guy's kind of slow here. We'll put our faster guy right here in this bunch. We'll get a movement, a motion going, and we'll allow him to work the field or work this side to where we can ISO him and put him on a guy that's not as good as the coverage guy. Or maybe have these guys get lost in meshes, right? They're smaller frames, but they can fit in smaller sizes and holes that our bigger guys aren't going to be getting through, right? So it's like just having that fun, creative side to an offense. You know your team and your guys, hey, let's bunch this up. And now they're not a very good man team, or they're not a very good communicating team, right? Guys get lost. You see them blowing coverages all the time where defense is looking back. What? Who got? Well, if we see that, it's better to have those condensed sets, those bunch sets, because knowing that the defense is going to be bad at communicating. Who has him? Oh, he's boom, play's gone. We're moving, we're rolling, and guys are flying right by you. So, I mean, that's what you love as a receiver, right? I've had blown coverages to where I'm wide open. I love it. Just like we talked about in film. And then I've had other teammates flying wide open. The guy's not within 20 yards of him. What happened? Well, those are those bunches and crossers that a lot of people don't realize. It's not just about who's the biggest and best player. No, it's about who plays their role to the best of their capability, who understands what we need and how to get it done. And then that's what ultimately makes us successful. So
I love it. I love hearing that inside analysis, and I appreciate you giving that
of course
to us. You know, and we talked about Austin Bolt and Caples, and those are known commodities. We know pretty much what we're getting with them, and they are extremely talented players. But there's going to be more than just them. You're going to have to see guys step into roles that they're not used to quite yet. How does a guy like Cam Bates or Chris Marshall, or even a guy who impressed me was Caden Chen, a local kid, how do those players, and what do they need to do in the offseason to be prepared to step into a larger role?
Yeah, well, I mean, just on my personal evaluation of the game, teams are finding more ways to get more guys involved, you know, and it's the more depth you have, right, the better we can be. It makes it harder on that defensive team, that defensive coach, to try and scheme and figure out who's doing what, right? So when we have depth, when we have guys that are competing, it raises everyone's game. It elevates us as a whole. You're only as strong as your weakest link in a sense. And it's like if we can get everyone to take that next step, we're all competing, we're all pushing, we're all thriving and bringing different assets to our team. It's really amazing when you see it all form together. And I mean, just knowing these guys, I mean, I was super impressed with the way they're going to – our offense is more of a run style, but we're shifting and focusing on different ways to open up the pass game, to have that complement the run, to have that. And with the loss of Ashton and some of these other guys, you're going to have to figure out different ways to make this year's team successful, right? And it's going to be implementing those new guys, implementing how can this guy contribute? How can this guy contribute? I mean, one of my good friends in that room was Ben Ford. Love seeing him out there. He's going to be a guy that's going to have to contribute and step up. And I know he's super mature. He knows the game just as well as anybody. I mean, we're in there. He's one of the first ones answering questions. He's out in the field early and staying late and in the training room working on his body. I mean, he's just a guy, a student of the game. You know, Chris Marshall, we haven't had a chance to really see him yet, but I know he's a super talented guy. I've seen him, worked out with him, talked to him. You know, he's another guy. If we can get him going, that'll be good. I mean, just having depth in that receiver room to relieve guys. All right, well, now this guy's going to come on and show me something different. Now this guy's going to come on. He has a different bag of tools. So it's just the depth that you can bring is only going to elevate us as a whole. So it's exciting to see.
And I like how you put that, and that kind of leads into my next question because it's regarding some true freshmen that are coming in, and that's always an uphill battle, I have no doubt. But guys like Gavin Packer, Quamante Williams, Quentin Brown, and Cameron Jones, who I think people forget was a late addition there, who had huge offers. You know, they're coming in fall camp, kind of maybe behind the 8 ball a little bit. Can those guys kind of form their own role immediately, or how hard is that?
Most definitely. And what I want to say is, while I'm talking about the game kind of changing, it's not as traditional as it used to be, right? I come here, I have to wait 2 years to learn the playbook and learn the style and learn the program and learn the system. I think everyone understands how fast-paced the sport is now, right? With the transfer portal, with coaches coming and going, with players coming and going, you can't have it super, super concrete, hardcore detailed to where it's like guys can't come in and be able to contribute right away, because that's what we need now, right? And that's as a sport as a whole. It's kind of given that NFL kind of free agency when guys are bouncing around and they're coming in and they're playing in the next week or two. You're like, what? Well, college, they're understanding, like, with the way things are shaping with NIL and transfer portal, that's what we got to kind of mold to, right? To kind of simplify it, keep the main thing, but make it so that new guys and newbies can come and contribute. So I most definitely think if they buy in and they invest themselves, they will be on the field for sure. And we'll find ways to get them on the field.
And you bring up with the NIL and transfer portal, and an interesting thought that pops into my head is, do you think with this NIL and transfer portal and everyone's moving, do you think coaches feel more pressure to find a spot for these young men to get some playing time just so they can see the field?
Most definitely. I mean, in a sense, you have to put your best pawns out on the field, right? Your best players. You got to give our best product out there, you know? So it's like, if I know this guy is a superstar and a super stud and he can help contribute, I'm going to, just by straight logic, I want to put him on the field, right? Yeah. So it's like finding ways to make that more realistic, more achievable is ultimately the goal. You know, simplifying some things, maybe some packages on offense or defense, right? So where we can get them in, make them feel comfortable. Hey, this is for you. This is your package. This is what you need. You go in and do this. You know, you line up here and this is your assignment. As simple as that for off reps, right? Get a couple snaps like that. And then we start slowly adding more to the plate. But it's like, as a coach, you most definitely want to get those guys on the field. For one, because you brought them here to play. Let's be real. And for two, because they can help contribute to our success.
And earlier you mentioned something. I'm gonna bring it up real fast. You know, the tight end room at Boise State is very talented. You have Matt Lauder, but people forget Matt Wagner is maybe physically more talented than Matt Lauder. Knock on wood. No offense to Matt Lauder. Right. How much does it help the wide receiver room to have good receiving tight ends out there?
Oh, it makes a world of a difference, because once again, we're talking about creating matchups and mismatches to where they benefit us in our favor. Having those tight ends, for one, a smart player. There's a lot of times people don't understand how many times we have to collaborate with the tight ends, whether it's a blocking scheme or a pass concept. And having a guy that's smart and also gifted makes it easier on you, right? You can't have a safety and corner both hardcore keying you, but you can't have a safety and linebacker hardcore keying the tight end. It keeps it more honest and keeps the playing field more open to where we can get more of these one-on-one opportunities that play in our favor, rather than just everyone key on him, everyone key on him, everyone load the box, or everyone sag off when we're dropping 8, you know? It just makes it that much better for the offense to where they don't know if we're going to hit them for a gash run or play action boot or drop back pass or crossers and daggers across the field. Like, you don't know. You have to play honest, which makes it better for us. So those tight ends being there, you don't know if they're going to come block, if they're going to come bluff, if they're going to come do this or that. You don't know if they're rimming across or if they're going to. You don't know. But it keeps you honest to where, okay, now they're thinking again, and that's ultimately the game within the game.
And my last question for you, Billy, and you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to take off. I know you're a busy man. Nick and I are going to have some more. So for the viewers, don't leave yet. But I had one more question that popped into my head today as I was writing down some notes. And it went back to on the first day of spring practice, I saw Chase Penry attempt a double pass. How do y'all learn what wide receivers can throw and who can't? Do y'all just, like, one day you just everyone throw?
It's always trials. We're always, hey, coach, check this out. Even before practice, coach, watch me. Just throwing with the boys. Coach, hey, coach, check this out. Hey, coach, hey, you like that, huh? Hey, coach, hey, Miller, you saw me? Hey, Potter, hey, just always messing around on and off the field, just in the hallways, tossing paper into the trash or whatever it is. You're just walking around having a good time. Coach, you saw it. Coach Danielson, tell him about me. Just having fun. So, yeah, any chance you get, you're always trying to showcase that. And then it's open trial. So we'll have one guy do it here, one guy do it there. And you just kind of whoever's ball looked the best, it's kind of, all right, we'll roll with that. And then we'll try maybe in a live setting in practice, maybe in a scrimmage, something just to see who's really about it. So that's always fun. Yeah, the double passes are always super competitive. Super.
I will say I am very sad that we never got to see Riley Smith throw a pass as a tight end double pass.
Yeah,
I know I've heard him say that they had it set up almost every game, or waiting for it to get set up.
Well, so what happens is we'll install it in fall camp, so it's always there in the clip, right? So for instance, it's there every game potentially. Now it's just a matter of what this team does in red zone, or what they do in the shot zone, or what we do when we get in the fringe, whatever. But it's like, depending on what the team, that's always there. So me and Riley actually had a double pass amongst each other. So when Hank Bachmeyer was here, he'd take it. I'd be on the left side. Riley would be on tight end on the right side, and I'd be in the slot to the left. So Hank would catch it. He'd pitch it to me, right? It'll act like they're doing a rollout to the left. I come. He pitch it to me. So now they think it's a reverse. Riley would slip out, throw him in, and we did it in a live setting. Most competitive part of practice. It was red zone. And it's called lockout. So it's when the defense, gets in and offense gets in. It's super competitive. We're going head to head. Everybody's trying to stop us. They get punished if they lose. We get punished if we lose. It's the final play. It's tied up, and we pull it out. We're like, let's do it. So we did it, and I ended up throwing it to Riley. He scored on J.L. Skinner. He was the safety. He bit for it. It was a great play. So fun. We're all going crazy, throwing the ball at him, jumping around. And it was just so fun. The whole sideline erupted. You would have thought we just won a championship off of the last play. It was so competitive, so fun. But yeah, I mean, those things are always in, and we're always practicing them. So when you guys see them, it's not like, oh my God, they just pulled this out of nowhere. No, we've been repping this since August, so it's super fun to do.
Well, I love that. That's a great story, and I appreciate you being here, Billy. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you come back and join us again. We're gonna be doing this for a while. You are welcome to take off. Keep us. We all want to hear about what you're doing next, so keep us informed. All right, buddy.
Most definitely. I appreciate you guys, Nick, Chris. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
all
Billy.
right, Nick. We have some recruiting news now. We're going to move on to that. I love Billy's so great to talk to. I had so much fun talking to him. Before our interview, I think we talked for 15, 20 minutes. So just a great guy.
He's awesome.
We got some recruiting. He is. He's great. And I truly do think that his career is not over. He's a very talented wide receiver. So recruiting never stops. That's what I always say. And Boise State has picked up a couple more transfer portal commits, as well as another class of 2026 commit. And I want to just preview them real fast. The first one, I'm going to toss it over to you for some breaking him down a little bit, is Sterling Lane. Nick, talk to me about Sterling.
Yeah, we have seen it in the last recent couple of years, getting transfers from some of the Power 4 conferences, right? And so Sterling Lane kind of reminds me of when we picked up Tyler Wegas a couple years ago from Utah. But there's a distinct difference here, right? So Sterling Lane, he he's played 3 seasons with Arizona before transferring to Boise State. He's recorded 26 tackles in 12 games, including a fumble return for a touchdown against TCU. He's a former 4-star prospect out of Oaks Christian High School. He had offers from LSU, Michigan, Oregon, and Tennessee. He fits well in what we need on for the edge. Opposite of JVM. Still kind of thinking maybe Malachi Williams might be in the mix too. I don't know how they're going to work him in, but the thing about Sterling is, we brought in edges from transfer, like even before NIL, and probably the biggest one that we can remember who's really made an impact, and he's still playing in the next level, and that's DeMarcus Lawrence. The thing that's the difference about Sterling is, like I said, he's had a lot of playing time. He's got 26 tackles, and then that big play. So really looking forward to that. Where you had Weggis, he really didn't have a lot of experience coming in. He just had that that power for aura on him. So and unfortunately, his tenure with Boise State didn't pan out, and he is exploring the transfer portal himself here in 2025.
Yeah, and I think that's a great breakdown there, Nick. I appreciate you doing that. And that's a good way to comparison there is Wedges or Weegis or whatever how you want to pronounce it. You're right. Sterling Lane comes in more experienced and more polished as a player than Weegis was. So I'm excited to see him come in. There has been, I heard some rumbles that people were saying, well, Andrew Simpson leaves. Why didn't you go get a linebacker? Well, it's a two-step thing here. So you got Jake Ripp, and they feel comfortable with Jake Ripp at linebacker. So this indicates to me that Jake Ripp is now a full-time linebacker, which is great. He's extremely talented and can cover it, and he's going to do great. So you go out and get an edge. I go back to Spencer Danielson's press conference after the spring game where he said they weren't done getting defensive players. They were going to get the best player available. And I think that's exactly what they got. They were comfortable with Ripp at edge. They were comfortable with Ripp at linebacker. All right, let's go get the best of whatever we can get. And this is the best. Sterling Lane is a very talented, athletic edge rusher. I don't know if he's going to be opposite JVM or if that's going to be Max Steege or whatever, but he's going to see plenty of playing time. You can never have enough pass rushers. So super excited to see him come in. Like you said, coming out of high school, 4-star guy, had offers from everywhere. So excited to see him come in. I showed the graphic, his commitment graphic. So we'll go moving on to the next edition. And this one's pretty interesting. Alma Talini. I'm sorry if I butchered that, Alma. But this is one of the more interesting additions I remember Boise State having. 6'7", 290 pounds. Wow. Out of offensive lineman out of Australia, another Aussie joining the team. This young man was a semi-pro basketball player not that long ago. So that 6'7" obviously helps in basketball. It will help on the offensive line as well. Did not play football prior to coming to. He was at the University of Utah, the Utes. This is a developmental player. This is Spencer Danielson says that phrase a lot, but there is no truer example of that than this young man. 6'7", that's exactly what you want, bolstering that left side of your offensive line. The best news is, and this cannot be overstated how important it is, we have somebody there right now. Cage Casey's there. Cage Casey did not hop into the portal. He's here. He's going to be great, and he's going to allow this young man to develop and be prepared in the future to possibly take over for Cage Casey. So yeah, developmental player, but semi-pro basketball. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Do you have any thoughts on this young man?
This guy's huge.
Mhm.
6'7", 290. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good project for Coach Keene. It kind of reminds me of what Chenander's got over on the defense with Bethel Emerson.
Yep.
Kind of that developmental guy from out of country, and they're literally elite athletes, and coach is gonna mold them into what we need here. And
Yep.
you're right, like it's no hurry. We got Cage Casey. He's already being prospected as being a first round pick, so we're pretty safe right there on the line in that position.
And I think that's important to point out, that how important it is to have that offensive line depth, because Cage Casey is not Superman. He could get hurt. There is so much experience depth back behind him. And Boise State has not always had that on the offensive line. There was not that long ago that I remember Coach Harsin being quoted as saying they did not have enough bodies for a second-team offensive line in practice. That's crazy to me. So to watch this program develop and make that a priority has been really great to see. I'm a former offensive lineman myself, not very good. I did my best. But it's super awesome to see them develop these young men. And I mean, Cage Casey, Roger Carrion, Mason Randolph could all be in the NFL next year. So, you want to call us running back university? Great. I love that. Offensive line university might be just as accurate. In our last edition, and I'm excited about this young man. I've been messaging with him. I'm going to interview him soon. Our schedules just have not quite matched up yet. We're working on it. And I want to get his name right. Marion Sloan. Let me find his here's his highlights. So this young man coming out of Bakersfield, California. If you're looking at his highlights now, you'll kind of go, well, he said he was a running back, but he's lining up at quarterback. Yeah, that's accurate. I talked to him. He played quarterback last season because his quarterback got hurt. You love that team mentality there. Prior to that, he was a wide receiver. Went there, learned, hey, I really like this whole just getting handed the ball thing, and said, I'm going to stick with this. And here's a highlight of him at wide receiver. This guy reminds me so much of a former Boise State running back, Jeremy McNichols, the McWeapon. Just a guy that you just want the ball in his hands wherever he is. It doesn't really matter. I don't care if it's outside. I don't care if I'm handing it to him. Just get him the ball. So I'm super excited about this addition. I don't think he's going to be the only running back addition in this recruiting class. And maybe it's not, his graphic, and I'll show the graphic here, says running back, and he says running back as well, but maybe he ends up at wide receiver. Maybe he ends up somewhere else. That's the beauty of having an athletic freak like this, who, and I got to check my notes because I don't want to put the wrong words in his mouth, ran a GPS track 21.1 miles per hour. I'm not sure I could break 10. So, Nick, you're the runner here. Where are you at miles per hour wise? I can't believe I'm asking a human being that, but where are you at?
That's pretty freaking fast, man. Like,
Nice catch.
That's all I can say is, like,
okay.
Especially for we saw Shea Oladipo like hit 23 miles an hour, but he had a pretty good head start. But from a running back, that is freaking fast.
Yes. Yeah, and I love that you brought up that Shea Oladipo play. That, going back, and this is kind of off topic, but that was probably my favorite play of last season. And you don't usually hear that when it's a defensive back running somebody down, but that was unbelievable. And if I remember right, UNLV had quite a bit of the momentum at that point, so you could say that was almost a game-saving play. So good call on that. Shea Oladipo, what an amazing effort. Now, with all this recruiting news, there's only more coming. in the next weeks, I got my numbers here. In the next couple weekends, they are going to have a total, and this is just official. There's probably going to be more added as we get closer, of 35 2026 recruits coming in to visit the Blue. I've been covering Boise State recruiting for a minute, not too long. That's the most I remember happening in what is going to be a 3-week time frame. And it's super exciting. If you talk to anybody who knows much about recruiting, the best way to get a player to commit to Boise State is get him to Boise, because there's just something special about this place, this atmosphere, Spencer Danielson, the whole group. 35 players, that we could be seeing a huge part of the 2026 class committing these in the next couple weeks. So hang tight. There's going to be news, I promise. I'm going to be trying to set up some interviews with some of these recruits. Nick, what are your thoughts? They're going to be really busy down at the Blameyer.
This is necessary with the environment the college sports is in now. You want to get as many athletes in to see the Blue, see the facilities as possible, because it's, frankly, college sports is a year-by-year case with the portal and, the money being exchanged. It's really important to get those prospects in, get them locked down, and just continue to keep the bucket full. And that's just the way we're going to have to look at college sports from now on, because Ashton Genties of the day aren't walking through that door. Reality is that we may have athletes for 1 to 2 years at most. So I'm all for it. Make a shuttle called the Blue Horizon and just keep shuttling these athletes in and get them on the Blue.
Heck, I'll drive it. I don't know if you should trust me with it, but I'll give it a shot. My last thought on the recruiting, and I'm going to toss it over to you to talk some softball. Everyone's holding their breath about wide receiver edition. They are still working through it. I have been in contact with some of the players that they are recruiting, and I thought we would have had a commitment by now. Sometimes that information doesn't always pan out, and so hang tight. I truly do believe there's going to be another edition of a junior college or transfer portal wide receiver. It's just a matter of trying to find the right fit, I guess. So, Nick, I'll toss it over to you. Let's talk some softball. It didn't quite end the way we were all hoping, but there was a lot of good stuff that happened this year.
The Broncos are just fresh off of a exit from the Mountain West Conference championship tournament. They made it to the double elimination bracket, but unfortunately they had to play hometown San Diego State, and didn't work out for them. They finished the season with a 34-22 overall record, and they ended up finishing with a conference record of 12-13. Not ideal, but this was a young team, so really it was actually a really good way to end the year. There was moments in the season where a berth into that conference wasn't guaranteed. So they put in some work at the last of the season, and then once they clinched, they were able to jump a couple spots and get in, and then they did win one tournament game. So for a young team, I think it was a successful season. Coach Schultz challenged the team to win 40 this year, so kind of like reach for the stars, land on the moon thing. So 34-22, I think is great for a young team like this. So they were led by sophomore Sophia Knight. She was voted Mountain West Conference first team. She led the NCAA with 103 hits, the first player in 23 years to do so.
And this is Sophia Knight, right? That's what you're talking about. You kind of broke up there. I just want to make sure the viewers know who we're talking about. Sophia Knight.
Sophia Knight, she batted 46 on the year, 63 runs, 30 stolen bases, and then we also had another first teamer and freshman of the year, Mackenzie Butt. She batted 363. She broke the school record in home runs by tallying 22 bombs this year. She drove in 77 RBIs. She scored 57 runs. And she just racked up a bunch of records for the conference and the school. And then we had senior Mackenzie Hanna. She finished second all time on the school home run list. She was a second teamer in the Mountain West. She hit 18 home runs to finish off her college career at Boise State. And then a couple other notables is freshman Quinn Sutherland. She batted 364, 44 hits, 28 runs, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 2 home runs. Excellent defense on the year. And then we had Leah McAnally. She was a second teamer on Mountain West as a catcher. And then honorable mention, we had Brooklyn Pettis and Megan Lake, both seniors. So they finished their career with some awards there. So, and then last but not least, freshman pitcher Olivia Bauer. She finished the year 9-5 record, 3.94 ERA, 42 strikeouts. She finished the year cruising. She shut out Utah State in the tournament with a complete game. First freshman to do that in the Mountain West. And then senior Brooke Thompson finished the year with a 10-4 record, 4.95 ERA with 62 strikeouts. So a lot of great offensive records went down this year. And then also, some promising pitching prospects on the staff.
And I'm not going to throw out names and anything because doesn't really matter. But I know the transfer portal has been kind of rough on the softball team the last couple of days. I know I didn't have my thumb on the heartbeat of softball transfer portal. So you just told me before the show. And at first I was like, well, maybe we don't want to talk about. No, this team's going to be good. Mackenzie Butt, what a fabulous start to a career. And she can just build off that and just get better. So, if you hear about these athletes entering the portal, one, congratulate them and wish them the best. And then two, just realize that teams can be built in one off season with the transfer portal. So that's my final thoughts on that. Nick, this has been a lot of fun. I love having Billy here. I hope we have him again. I just want to thank you for taking the time today, and I want to thank the viewers. I hope they all subscribe and enjoy the podcast and continue watching. And with that said, as always, go Broncos.